Set in motion. Chapter 1. A rough start. Maya Thompson pulled her rental car over to the side of the narrow road in the small town of Karaka, New Zealand, feeling utterly lost. She glanced at the GPS, which kept recalculating routes that seemed to lead nowhere, and sighed in frustration. Maya wasn't used to being this disoriented, especially not on a film set. As a director, she was accustomed to control, whether it was over cameras, scripts, or schedules. But navigating small-town New Zealand? That was a whole new challenge. She had flown in from New York, fresh off the success of her last indie film. And now she was supposed to rescue a troubled movie production. The film Winds of the Southern Isles had been floundering for months, and she was the last-ditch effort to save it. Maya wasn't exactly thrilled about taking the job, but the offer had come with a paycheck she couldn't refuse. Plus, the New Zealand landscape was breathtaking when she wasn't driving in circles, that is. The scenery outside was beautiful, lush green hills dotted with sheep and the occasional cluster of trees. Normally, she'd admire it, but she was already late for her first day on set. Suddenly, a blur of movement caught her eye. Before she had time to react, a motorcycle shot out of the bushes, barreling down the narrow dirt road toward her car. Oh crap! Maya slammed on the brakes, her heart leaping into her throat. The rider swerved hard, trying to avoid her, but the bike skidded on the gravel and slid across the road, coming to a screeching halt just inches from her bumper. Her hands trembling, Maya flung open the car door and raced toward the fallen rider. "Oh my God, are you okay? I'm so sorry. I didn't see you." The rider groaned, shifting slightly under the heavy weight of the bike. A leather-clad arm pushed up a black visor, revealing the face of a very annoyed, very beautiful woman with sharp blue eyes. "No, I'm not okay. You nearly flattened me." Maya winced at the irritation in the woman's voice, feeling guilt wash over her. "I swear I didn't know this was a road. I was just trying to find the film set. Can I help you get up?" The woman gave her a hard look before nodding reluctantly. "Fine. Just grab the handlebars and lift." Maya positioned herself, trying to get a grip on the bike. She wasn't exactly built for heavy lifting, but she couldn't just stand there and do nothing. With a determined grunt, she heaved the bike upward. It shifted slightly, but her grip slipped, and the bike came crashing back down. "Seriously?" The woman grimaced in pain. "This is not helping." "Sorry. I'm really not good at this," Maya muttered, embarrassed. She glanced around for anyone who could help, but the road was deserted. "Okay, let's try again." With renewed effort, Maya managed to lift the bike just enough for the woman to wriggle free. Once free, the rider stood, brushing off her leather jacket and adjusting her helmet. "I'm Jade, by the way," she said, her voice still sharp with irritation, but now tempered by a hint of curiosity. "And you are?" "Maya. I'm the director for the movie they're shooting here." Jade raised an eyebrow. "You're the director? The one they brought in to fix this disaster?" Maya cringed. "I guess that's me. It hasn't exactly been a smooth start." Jade smirked, folding her arms over her chest. "You think? You're lucky you didn't end up on my report. I'm the local constable, and I've had my eye on this whole production since it started causing trouble in town." Maya's stomach sank. Of course, the first person she nearly ran over had to be the local police officer. "Great, so I've already made a terrible impression." Jade's eyes narrowed. "Let's just say you've got a lot of work to do, both on and off the set. The locals aren't exactly thrilled about this movie taking over the town. And after today, I'm not sure I am either." Maya bit her lip, trying to suppress her frustration. She hadn't signed up for this much tension on day one. "Look, I know the movie has been difficult, but I promise I'm here to get things back on track. Jade studied her for a long moment, her expression unreadable. We'll see about that. She kicked the dirt off her boots and adjusted her helmet before climbing back onto her bike. Try not to almost kill anyone else while you're here. With that, she revved the engine and sped off down the road, leaving Maya standing in a cloud of dust. Chapter 2. Unexpected Encounters. Later that afternoon, Maya finally arrived at the film set, only to be greeted by chaos. The production was running behind, the crew was grumbling, and the lead actor had disappeared for an impromptu sightseeing tour. As Maya tried to juggle it all, her thoughts kept drifting back to Jade. There was something about the constable's intensity that stuck with her, not to mention the way Jade's sharp features softened ever so slightly when Maya apologized. Even though their first encounter had been a disaster, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that their paths were far from done crossing. 2 days later, that feeling was confirmed when Maya stopped by the local cafe for a much-needed coffee. As she waited for her order, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Lost again. Maya turned to find Jade standing in the doorway, her arms crossed and a faint smile tugging at her lips. No, actually, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Jade raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. Is that so? Maybe you're finally getting the hang of small-town life. Maya smiled, trying to keep the conversation light. Yeah, I guess I'm learning. Slowly. Jade stepped closer, her expression softening just a bit. Look, I was a little hard on you the other day. This whole movie thing has been a headache for everyone, and I let my frustration get the better of me. Maya's heart skipped a beat. It's okay. I get it. I wasn't exactly helping the situation. They stood there for a moment, the bustling sounds of the cafe fading into the background. There was a tension between them, but it wasn't the same as before. Felt different. More like curiosity than frustration. Jade broke the silence first, her tone lighter now. So you're really here to fix that mess of a movie? Maya nodded, her smile returning. Yeah, and maybe I'll fix my driving skills while I'm at it. Jade chuckled, her eyes twinkling with amusement. Well, good luck with that. You might need it. Chapter 3. Small Town Big Challenges. By the end of the week, Maya was starting to get into the rhythm of the production, but there were still challenges. The crew was overworked, the budget tight, and there had been more than one equipment malfunction that left everyone on edge. The film had gained a reputation for its never-ending string of mishaps, and Maya was beginning to understand why. One evening, as the crew wrapped up for the day, Maya sat by herself at a picnic table just outside the set, nursing a cup of tea and reviewing tomorrow's shooting schedule. The sun was setting, casting a warm orange glow over the hills, and for a moment, everything felt peaceful. But then she heard the low rumble of a motorcycle engine approaching, and her heart skipped a beat. It was Jade. Maya looked up as Jade pulled up, her black leather jacket gleaming in the last light of the day. She swung off the bike with a fluid grace and walked toward Maya, hands casually in her pockets. Still working? Jade asked, her voice teasing as she approached. Maya sighed dramatically, setting her clipboard aside. Always. It never ends with this production. Jade gave her a knowing smile and leaned against the table. You picked a tough one to fix. I didn't exactly have a choice. The offer was too good to refuse, Maya admitted, running a hand through her messy hair. But I'm starting to wonder if I bit off more than I can chew. Jade's expression softened as she sat down across from her. You're tougher than you look. You'll figure it out. Maya glanced up, surprised by the compliment. Thanks. I think. Jade chuckled softly, her usual sharpness melting into something more approachable. I've seen a lot of people come through this town. Some of them just give up when things get hard, but you seem different. Maya blinked, taken aback by the sudden vulnerability in Jade's voice. I don't know if I'm different, but I don't like quitting. Jade nodded, her gaze lingering on Maya for a moment before she spoke again. Look, I came by to apologize. Again. I've been difficult. More than I should have been. This whole movie thing has stirred up some old issues with the town, and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. Maya studied Jade's face, sensing there was more to the story. What kind of issues? Jade leaned back, looking out over the landscape. Caracas been through a lot in the past few years. We've had people come in and take advantage of the town. Big companies, developers, people who didn't care about the locals. A lot of promises were made, and none of them were kept. This film. Well, it reminded me of that. I didn't want to see the same thing happen again. Maya nodded slowly, starting to understand the deeper resentment Jade had been carrying. I get it. And I can see why you'd be skeptical. But I'm not here to exploit anyone. I just want to get this movie done without burning everything to the ground. Jade's lips quirked into a small smile. That's a good start. They sat in companionable silence for a few moments, the air between them less tense than before. The sound of crickets chirping filled the space as the sky turned from orange to deep blue. You know, Jade said after a while, there's more to Caracas than what you've seen on set. If you're not too busy saving the film, I could show you around sometime. Maya's heart fluttered at the unexpected offer, but she kept her voice calm. I'd like that. I could use a break from the chaos. Jade glanced at her, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Great. Just, maybe leave the driving to me. Maya laughed, the tension in her shoulders easing. Fair enough. Chapter 4. Finding the Flow. The next morning Maya found herself waking up earlier than usual. A strange mix of excitement and nervousness filling her chest. Jade had texted her late last night, confirming their plans to explore the town together. It wasn't a date, Maya reminded herself. Just two people from different worlds trying to bridge the gap between them. Still, she couldn't help but feel a spark of anticipation. They met at the local cafe, the same one where they'd run into each other before. But this time Jade was waiting for her outside, leaning casually against her bike. She looked effortlessly cool as usual, her helmet tucked under her arm and a crooked smile on her face. Ready for your grand tour? Jade asked, her tone light but her eyes lingering on Maya in a way that made her heart skip a beat. As ready as I'll ever be, Maya replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Jade led the way on foot through the small streets of Caracas, pointing out the town's hidden gems. A tiny bookstore tucked between two larger shops, a bakery known for its cinnamon rolls, and a local artist gallery that featured breathtaking landscapes of the surrounding area. Maya was surprised by how much she loved the town's charm. It wasn't the bustling, fast-paced life she was used to in New York, but there was something peaceful about it. The people here knew each other, and there was a sense of community that was rare in the big city. They walked down to the river that ran just outside the town, its waters glistening in the mid-morning sun. Jade stopped by the bank, sitting on a large rock and gesturing for Maya to do the same. This is my favorite spot, Jade said, her voice softer now. I come here when I need to clear my head. Maya sat down beside her, the sound of the flowing water calming her nerves. I can see why. It's beautiful. Jade glanced at her, a small smile playing on her lips. So, what made you want to be a director? The question caught Maya off guard. She hadn't expected to talk about herself, but something about the quiet of the moment made her open up. I guess I've always loved telling stories. Ever since I was a kid, I've been obsessed with movies, the way they can transport you to another world. I wanted to be a part of that magic. Jade nodded thoughtfully. I get that. I've always admired people who have a passion like that. Something they're willing to fight for. What about you? Maya asked, turning the tables. How did you end up being a cop in this little town? Jade hesitated for a moment, her gaze dropping to the ground. It's not as glamorous as your story, I'm afraid. My dad was a cop here before me. He loved this town, and after he passed away, I felt like it was my responsibility to stay and take care of it. So here I am. There was a weight to Jade's words that made Maya's chest tighten. She hadn't expected such honesty, but she appreciated it. It sounds like you care about this place a lot. I do, Jade said simply, her eyes meeting Maya's. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who does. They sat in silence for a while, watching the river flow by. The connection between them felt stronger now, more real than it had before. It wasn't just the playful banter or the chemistry. They were starting to understand each other on a deeper level. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Maya realized she didn't want the day to end. But eventually, they had to head back to the town, where the chaos of the film set and their respective responsibilities awaited them. Before they parted ways, Jade turned to Maya with a teasing smile. So what do you think? Small-town life growing on you yet? Maya smiled back, feeling lighter than she had in days. Maybe a little. Chapter 5. Unraveling Mysteries. Back on set, things started to go a bit smoother. Maya's changes were being implemented, and the crew seemed to be responding to her leadership. But despite the progress, the sabotage that had plagued the production hadn't completely disappeared. One afternoon, Maya was reviewing footage when she noticed something odd. Props were missing from a critical scene, and equipment that had been perfectly functional the day before was suddenly faulty. It was subtle, but it was enough to make her stomach churn. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Maya went to the only person she knew she could trust.